previously held by King Charles. It goes on to say that the Prince of Wales has continued to proceed with his own royal duties after his wife's health update, as well as stepping up in place for his father, who announced his own cancer diagnosis on February 5th on several occasions. And Kate has expressed gratitude for his support. Now, the thing about Kate Middleton being awarded this particular title of Royal Companion of the Order of the Companions of Honor, and Camilla as well as Prince William, is that it was done on what is called St. George's Day. So we're going to talk a little bit. I don't know anything about St. George's Day, but it seems like something that is widely celebrated. So we're going to look at a little bit of what exactly St. George's Day is. So basically, when you go on Wikipedia, it's quite extensive what they say, and it looks like a lot of countries acknowledge this particular day. It says St. George's Day is the feast day of St. George, celebrated by Christian churches, countries, and regions and cities of which he is the patron saint. And it says Albania, Bulgaria, England, Ethiopia, Greece, Georgia, Portugal, Romania, Syria, Lebanon, Castile, Catalonia, Aragon, Rio de Janeiro even. And it says St. George's Day is celebrated on April 23rd, okay, the traditionally accepted date of the saint's death. And they talk about some type of persecution. Then they go on to talk about the date itself. In the calendar of the Lutheran churches, those of the Anglican Communion, and the general calendar of the Roman Rite, the feast of St. George is normally celebrated on the 23rd, April 23rd. Since Easter often falls close to St. George's Day, the church celebration of the feast may be moved from the 23rd, and it says it gives actually for the years that it was moved for 2011, 2014, 2019, and 2022. The Lutheran, Anglican, and Catholic calendars celebrated St. George's Day on the first available weekday after the octave of Easter. And then in parentheses, it says May 2nd for 2011, April 28th for 2014, April 29th, 2019, and the 25th of April in 2022, respectively. So based on where it falls in Easter and other things, they will move the day, the celebration of St. George's Day. It says that common worship says when St. George's Day falls between Palm Sunday and the second Sunday of Easter inclusive, it is transferred to the Monday after the second Sunday of Easter. But it does not say what to do if that day is April 25th, which they go into something called St. Mark's Day. And then it says this will next occur in 2033. Wow, that's pretty much in the future, huh? They go on to say that how St. George's Day is a major feast and national holiday in England, on par with Christmas from the early 15th century. The tradition of celebration of St. George's Day had waned by the end of the 18th century after the union of England and Scotland. And I'm going to scroll down. Something about talking about it being a public holiday. That's how much it meant to them. They said today St. George's Day may be celebrated with anything English, including Morris dancing and Punch and Judy shows. A traditional custom on St. George's Day is fly or adjourn the St. George's cross flag in some way. Pubs in particular can be seen on the 23rd of April festooned with garlands of St. George's crosses. It is customary for the hymn Jerusalem to be sung in cathedrals, churches, and chapels on St. George's Day or on the Sunday closest to it. It also goes on to say that there's a growing reaction to the recent indifference to St. George's Day. Organizations such as English Heritage and the Royal Society of St. George have been encouraging celebrations of it. There have also been calls to replace St. George as a patron saint of England on the grounds that he was an obscure figure who had no direct connection with the country. However, there is no obvious consensus as to whom to replace him with, though names suggested include Edmund the Martyr and some other people as well. And it looks like they did some type of poll on BBC Radio 4 if they were to replace St. George. They say recently there has been calls to reinstate St. Edmund as the patron saint of England, as he was displaced by George some 400 years ago. Now, interestingly enough, it says that in other countries, like I said, that we listed before, that actually acknowledge St. George, their celebration of him can be a little bit different. For example, in Hungary, it says, according to the Hungarians, the witches held their April 24th was the beginning of summer. On this day, willow or birch twigs were put in windows and stables, and possibly incense was burnt around them to scare away curses. Superstition said whoever's gate jambs were carved by witches that night. That meant his cow's milk was taken away. I don't know what that would have to do with this particular saint, St. George. Then it talks about in Spain. It talks about in a certain area or region of Spain, they talk about commemorative celebrations which begin on the eve of the feast day with a parade of Moors and Christians and various effigies of St. George and the dragon on horseback. Once the parade reaches the main square, they reenact a battle between both camps, culminating with the burning of a winning dragon effigy, as selected and voted by the people of the city. Then it says, when you go down, it says in literature, in the 1897 book Dracula by Bram Stoker, evil things are said to occur on St. George's Eve, beginning at midnight. Wow. It says that the belief is that the vampires, witches, and other dark creatures must gather all the evil power they can between midnight and the dawn of the saint's holy day, so it is unsafe to go outside on that night. Wow. In spite of this individual being a saint, there is some, depending on what country, there seem to be some paganistic things, rituals, or practices weaved into it that's kind of blurring the lines of what I would think people would basically define as a saint, a Christian martyr or a saint, at least in my opinion. There's a lot of paganistic things in here. So I went to Britannica for St. George to see who he was, and of course they defined him as a Christian martyr. They said nothing of George's life or deeds can be established, but tradition holds that he was a Roman soldier and was tortured and decapitated under Diocletian's persecution of Christians in 303. His remains were taken to Lydia, now Lod, Israel. the homeland of his mother, and were later transferred to the church that was built in his name there. Various relics reportedly are housed in both Western and Eastern churches worldwide. St. George's Chapel of Windsor